Hare Krishna. Today I'm going to recite Gopāla Campū. We're going to study Gopāla Campū, Volume 1, Purva Campū. It's written by Śrīla Jīva Goswāmī and translated into English by His Holiness BHÄNU Swami Maharaj. I would like to dedicate this to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, who inspired the world to take up the path of bhakti. Now I'd like to explain to you what a Campū is. A Campū is a literary composition mixing poetry and prose, displaying literary ornaments and various verse forms, often using words with double meaning. Śrīla Jīva Goswāmī has written Gopāla Campū, describing the pastimes of Krishna from his appearance until his return to Vraja. Though Kavi Karnapura has written Ananda Vrindavana Campū on the same topic, the unique feature of this Campū is that the whole story has been arranged to lead to Krishna's final union in marriage to the gopis. The Gopāla Campū narrates the pastimes as found in the Srimad Bhagavatam with the addition of rasa. Jīva Goswāmī writes that it's a work composed of the bliss of Radha and Krishna, and those who desire to see Vraja and to attain Goloka will achieve that destination by this work. Description of Goloka. Chapter 1, Description of Goloka. Respects to Radha Ramana, respects to Krishna Chaitanya, O Krishna, O Chaitanya, O Rupa and Sanatana, O Gopāla, O Raghunatha, O Vallabha who has attained Vraja, please protect me. At the beginning of the work, feeling great bliss within, after writing this verse of invocation, I will explain its meaning. What is this? This work makes me remember my deity and all the eminent devotees whose mercy I seek, one after the other. Or the meaning can be a remembrance of only the Lord, or the meaning can be remembrance of the Lord who's accompanied by the devotee, in which all the words refer to the Lord in association with his devotees. By taking several meanings of the words, 3 meanings have appeared on their own. First, I will explain the first meaning. The word Shri should be added to all the words. It was not added to all words because of metrical considerations. The meter is Anushtup. The first meaning is thus as follows. O Krishna, most fortunate, the topmost, O Krishna Chaitanya, whose glorification gives great bliss, O Rupa along with Sanatana, who should be held on my head, O Gopāla Bhatta, endowed with profuse veneration, O Raghunath Dasa, endowed with the weight of the highest bhakti, famous as the abode of the name, O Bhugarbha and others who are described as the perfected inhabitants of Vraja and or the ornament in the ears of the devotees, Apta Vraja. O Sri Vallabha, my worthy father, whom I have attained after many lives of devotional acts. Or taking the phrase Raghunath Apta Vraja Vallabha as one person, it can mean, O Raghunatha, dear to all because of following the great devotees, please protect me, shelter me with the shade of your feet. Third meaning, I will now reveal the second meaning. All words refer to Krishna. Shri means Radha. She's incontestable as the chief form of Lakshmi. This will be proved later. The word Krishna means the supreme Brahman, secretly known in the Vedas, who is by conventional usage known as the son of Nanda. The meaning of Sri Krishna is, O Krishna, endowed with the Swarupa Shakti named Radha. The word Krishna is defined as follows. Krishir bhu vachaka shabdo nascha nirvriti vachaka Tayor aikyam param brahma Krishna iti abhidhiyate. Krish means existence and na means bliss. Combined together, the two roots indicate that Krishna is the supreme form of God. Thus, the etymological meaning coincides with the conventional meaning. Bhu means existence from the root bhu to be equivalent to the word bhava, existence. The meaning of the root bhu is also to attract. It is clear that he attracts the minds of competent persons completely. Just as a man and a woman are designated by different words, Krishna and Na indicate different objects. However, they combine yoga as one. Krishna then means he who is full of bliss, attracting all persons. This meaning is significant. It indicates the supreme Brahman. The statement, Narakriti Param Brahma, Krishna is Param Brahman in a human form, is famous. Thus, the power of words to indicate the son of Nanda by embracing the conventional meaning while at the same time referring to etymology shown. This is the meaning. It is suitable to repeat his name in order to meditate on his special nature. Chaitanya means, O revealer of all things, O shelter of all things by your eternal form. The wise have understood this form. In the invocation of Gopāla Tapani Upanishad, it is said, Satchidananda Rupaya, Krishnaya Klishta Karmane. Krishna is eternity, knowledge, and bliss with actions beyond the 5 types of suffering. A similar statement is found in the prayers offered by Brahma in the Bhagavatam. Tasmadidam Jagad Ashesham Asat Swarupam Swapnabhamasta Dishanam Puru Dukkha Dukkham Tvai eva nitya sukha bodha tanavanante mayata yudhyadapi yatsad iva bhati. Therefore, this entire universe, which like a dream is by nature unreal, nevertheless appears real, and thus it covers one's consciousness and assails one with repeated miseries. This universe appears real because it is manifested by the potency of illusion emanating from you, whose unlimited transcendental forms are full of knowledge. SB 10.14.22. Sa Sanatana Rupaka means, O person who exists with an eternal form, well discerned by realizers of your form. This means, O person who shows himself to those with hearts filled with devotion to you. The phrase Gopāla Raghunāthāpta Vrajavallabha means he who is dear to the best coward men of Vraja, who are glorified as the chief Natha and lesser Raghu cowards. Another meaning of Gopāla Raghunatha is, O he who is handsome, Laghu for Raghu and the leader. Then, the meaning of Apta Vraja Vallabha is, O he who is dear to all his people of Vraja, who are all highly qualified. O he who is attractive to his devotees and unavailable to others. Now, the third meaning is explained. Shri indicates Radha, who is supreme among all his dear women. Thus, Shri Krishna means, O Krishna, unrestricted in sweet pastimes, by being endowed with Radha, O Krishna Chaitanya, the avatar as a devotee, who has appeared in this world, identifying himself as a devotee. O Lord, who exists with Sanatana and Rupa, the best devotees, with supreme attraction for you. Sa Sanatana, O he who exists everywhere as the dearest of Vraja, the place attained by the best devotees named Gopāla and Raghunatha. Gopāla Raghunāthāpta Vrajavallabha. Please protect me. After invoking auspiciousness, the work at hand should be considered. I will taste the nectar of conclusions that I have collected in Krishna Sandarbha by the tongue of poetic intelligence. I have made my mind into a tongue because of the sweet conclusions concerning Krishna. When the great devotees see these sweet conclusions, these conclusions will be like a jewel set in gold. The work is divided into 2 parts, each with 3 sections. They are like each separate works. May the devotees view these parts according to their desire. So this work is divided into 2 parts, each with 3 sections. And they are each like separate works. May the devotees view these paths according to their desire. May this work, called Gopāla Campū, increase the bliss of the cowards such as Nanda, who are recognized by Krishna. Even though the inhabitants have long disappeared from the earth, all the groups of inhabitants remain visible to the great devotees. There exists the auspicious place called Vrindavana, full of prosperity, the glorious forest of the earth's deity. Ah, this forest is for the protection of all people. The slightest touch of Vrindavana surpasses the wind in its quickness and power to purify. Though the place is unfettered in bestowing Artha, Dharma, and Kama, it always bestows liberation. Though a trace of Vrindavana produces liberation, Vrindavana itself remains indifferent to liberation because of eagerness to bind a person to the qualities of Vrindavana. Though Vrindavana gives bhakti to the devotees, it never destroys bhakti. Brahma had a desire to be born in Vrindavana, thinking himself deprived of good fortune. He then decided to perform worship. He began to realize the greatness of Vrindavana, which is worthy of worship and beneficial to him. Though the actions of the abode are most inconceivable, in the end, all contradictory meanings are resolved in the manner of Virodha Alankara. Though poets cannot write poetically about Vrindavana, it still becomes them to write poetic descriptions of it. In Vrindavana, the essence of supreme generosity resides. There is eternal perfection of the festival of bliss for the son of Nanda, who gives bliss to all people and appears in this world repeatedly to give the world benefit. Shukadeva has written concerning the astonishing bliss. Vrindavanam, Govardhanam, Yamuna, Pulinani, Cha, Vikshyasid, Uttama, Preeti, Rama Madhavayor Nripa. O King Parikshit, when Rama and Krishna saw Vrindavana, Govardhana on the banks of the river Yamuna, they both enjoyed great pleasure. SB 10.11.36. In Vrindavana, first Govardhana is praised. Gokula is the abode of Krishna, who is known in the Purana as the Lord of Gokula. It is called Gokula because the cows live there. Govardhana is the shelter of all beings in Gokula. The particular qualities of Govardhana are as follows. It is generally known that Manasa Ganga and Govardhana are different, but I consider that the streams of affection coming from Krishna in the form of Manasa Ganga have entered within Govardhana. I consider that the two glorious kundas, because of their joining at Govardhana and because of the fragrance of being kundas, actually the prema of Radha and Krishna. For one can see that the kundas tremble in the breeze, become stunned, remain liquid with bhakti, and their waters take the form of thick rasa. Vrindavana becomes excellent with the Yamuna River. Not only does bathing in her waters reveal Krishna, but also seeing her reveals Krishna, since she carries the weight of the sweet, dark form of Krishna. Poets use metaphors to describe Yamuna as the perspiration poured from Krishna's body to form the Yamuna because of his great love for all his affectionate devotees, or has the devotee's great love for Krishna by continuous meditation turned the Yamuna black. The bank of the Yamuna produces increase of great prema. The bank of the Yamuna produces increase of great prema. The banks of the Yamuna, manifesting the rasa of the Rasa Leela performed by Krishna, protect the Devatas. As Yamuna produces banks using a delightful magical powder which creates attraction for Krishna, the Bandira tree agitates our. How can one describe the Bandira's tree's prema for Krishna? When Krishna disappeared, the tree thought, let Govardhana and other dear objects remain visible, but I cannot remain visible in this universe. Then the tree also disappeared. See the deep prema of Vrindavana. Vrindavana sometimes becomes stunned in the form of mountains and sometimes trembles in the form of leaves quivering in the trees. Sometimes Vrindavana's hairs stand on end in the form of sprouting buds. When Krishna, the son of the king of Vraja, appears surrounded by the inhabitants of Vraja, do not some objects also appear, desiring to indicate his appearance? I perceive that this is correct, for the land of Vraja produces all the suitable objects for his pastimes. There's a verse from Bhagavatam, Tata Arabhya Nandasya Vraja Sarvas Vriddhiman Harer Nivasatma Gunai Rama Kridam Abhun Ripa. O Maharaja Parikshit, the home of Nanda Maharaja is eternally the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his transcendental qualities, and is therefore always naturally endowed with the opulence of all wealth. O Maharaja Parikshit, the home of Nanda Maharaja is eternally the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his transcendental qualities, and is therefore always naturally endowed with the opulence of all wealth. Yet, beginning from Lord Krishna's appearance there, it became the place for the pastimes of the goddess of fortune. SB 10.5.18. According to the Padma Purana, as quoted in the Sandarbhas, the appearance of all the objects in Vraja takes place in every kalpa. It will be shown that Krishna entered that pleasing Vraja after killing Dantavakra, which caused full bliss. Since Vraja is free of the touch of the bodies and minds of materialists, since it's filled with Kadamba trees profusely glorified in the Varaha Purana, and since it's the abode of pastimes of eternal blissful Balarama, cows and cowards described profusely in the Padma Purana and Skanda Purana, and since Vrindavana has special powers beyond the material realm, Vraja is unlimited. In Krishna's words from the Gautamiya Tantra, there's a brief description of Vrindavana. Idam Vrindavanam Ramyam Mama Dhamaiva Kevalam Atra me Pashava Pakshi Mrigha Naramara Ye Vasanti Mamadishne Mrita Yanti Mamalayam Atraya Gopa Kanyascha Nivasanti Mamalaye Yoginyasta Maya Nityam Mama Seva Parayana Panchayojanam Yevasti Vanam Me Deharupakam Kalindiyam Shushum Nakya Paramamrita Vahini Atra Devascha Bhutani Vartante Sukshma Rupata Sarva Deva Mayas Chaham Na Tyajami Vanam Kvachit Avir Bhavas Tiro Bhavo Bhaven Metra Yuge Yuge Tejo Mayam Idam Ramyam Adrishyam Charma Chakshusha. O Master of the people, I desire to hear about the 12 forests of Vrindavana. If I am qualified, please tell me. Krishna then spoke. This pleasant Vrindavana, it is my only abode. This pleasant Vrindavana is my only abode. There all cows, animals, birds, insects, and humans are without death. Those who live under my mercy come to my abode on dying. The daughters of the coward men live in my abode. Giving up all connections, they serve me continually. This place, measuring 5 yojanas, is non-different from my body. The Yamuna flowing with the sweetest nectar is the Sushumna, central nerve of that body. All the devas and the elements exist there in a spiritual form. I, the embodiment of all devas, do not leave that forest for a moment, though I appear and disappear in this world age after age. But this radiant forest full of pleasure is invisible to the material eye. The special powers of Vraja will be described at appropriate places in this work as the essence of all things. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna, the abode of great mercy, after returning from Varuna's palace, showed the cowards his own planet. He submerged them in blissful Brahma-hruda, where he showed Akrura his powers as Lord of Vaikuntha, and then pulled them out of that lake. To astonish his people, he showed them his form, the protector of all people, being praised by the Vedas, and then showed them his normal form with the dress of a human being in Vrindavana. The wise partaking of Raja realize its pastimes directly in their hearts. To show its glories, Harivamsha describe how Indra realized the pervading power of the body of Krishna in the chapter concerning the bathing of Govinda. In the various descriptions, some people say that all the objects situated in Vrindavana are actually situated above the highest sky, though they are surrounded by matter. Thus, taking up a form according to the particular pastime, the lands of Raja possess an earthy prakata and a non-earthly feature. Possess an earthly and a non-earthly feature, non-earthly aprakata. The great devotees describe this place as the greatest according to scriptures like Brahma Samhita, since the place is non-different from Ananta and is direct form of Brahman and is the direct form of Brahman. The particular powers of the aprakata form of Vrindavana, which is described in many scriptures as having both prakata and aprakata forms with innumerable appearances, will now be described. Gokula is the chief place among all the forms. Verses from Brahma Samhita will be quoted to support my views. To understand the subject, the statements will not be placed in the order found in the scriptures. Bhaje Shveta Dvipam Tamaham Iha Goloka Itiyam Vidantaste Santakshiti Virala Chara Katipaye. Goloka, which only a few rare devotees wandering on this earth have realized. Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpatarava Druma Bhumischinta Mani Ganamayi Toyam Amritam Katha Ganam Natyam Gamanam Apivamshi Priyasakhi Chidanandam Jyoti Paramapitad Ashvadyam Apicha. I worship this Goloka, where there are unlimited gopis and their beloved Krishna, the supreme form of God, where the trees and land fulfill all desires, where the water is as sweet as nectar, where the speaking is singing and the walking is dancing, where the flute is the best friend by announcing the joyful presence of Krishna everywhere, where the sun and moon shine with knowledge and bliss eternally in perfect form, revealing all things, where all relishable things are also knowledge and bliss. So yatra kshirabdhi shravati surabhi bhyascha sumahan nimesha dhakyo va vrajati nahi yatrapi samaya. In that place, extensive oceans of milk flow from the cows and not even a moment of time passes. Brahma Samhita 5.56. After the first verse, there is this description. Sahasrapatra Kamalam Golo Gokulakyam Mahatpadam Tat Karnikaram Tad Dhama Tad Anantamsha Sambhavam. The abode of Krishna called Gokula is the supreme abode. It is a center pericarp of a lotus with 1,000 petals and is sustained by a portion of the spiritual energy of Baladeva called Ananta. The abode of Krishna called Gokula is the supreme abode. It is the center of a lotus with 1,000 petals and is sustained by a portion of the spiritual energy of Baladeva called Ananta. Brahma Samhita 5.2. Tat kinjalkam tad amshamnam tad patrani shriyam api. Around the pericarp is a wall with spires like stamens. In the place are also various divisions and bowers for the gopis, which are like petals. Brahma Samhita 5.2. Chatur asram tat parita shveta dvipakyam adbhutam. Chatur ashram chatur murtesh chatur dhama chatushkritam. Chaturbhi purushartaischa chaturbhir hetubhir vrutam. Shuler dashabhir anandham anadham urdhvadho digvidikshu cha. Ashtabhi nidhibir jushtam ashtabhi siddhibistata. Manurupaisha dashabhir dikpalai parito vrutam. Shamir gauresha raktesha shuklesha parshada Rishabhai Shobhitam Shakti Tabir Adbhutabhi Samantata. This Gokula is surrounded by an astonishing square area called Shweta Dvipa or Goloka. This Gokula is surrounded by an astonishing square area called Shweta Dvipa or Goloka. This Gokula is surrounded by an astonishing square area called Shweta Dvipa or Goloka. This Gokula is surrounded by an astonishing square area called Shweta Dvipa or Goloka. This is divided into 4 parts, which are the abodes of 4 Vishnu forms: Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. Goloka is endowed with the 4 goals of human endeavor and with the methods to attain them. It is guarded by obstructions in the form of 10 spears in the 10 directions, including up and down. It is endowed with the 8 treasures and 8 siddhis. It is surrounded by the 10 protectors of the directions. It is endowed with the 8 treasures and 8 siddhis. It is surrounded by the 10 protectors of the directions in the form of their mantras, as well as the 4 Vedas. It is resplendent with astonishing Shaktis. Brahma Samhita 5.5. There's also this description: Chinta Mani Prakara Sadmashu Kalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabhir Abhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda with who affectionately tends the cows in stables whose walls are made of Chintamani, surrounded by desire trees. He is eagerly served by countless gopis. Brahma Samhita 5.29. In the Brihadvamana Purana, it is said, Ratna Dhatu Maya Shriman Yatra Govardhano Giri Ratna Badho Tatha Kalindi Saritam Vara. In Vraja, Govardhana mountain is made of jewels, and the Yamuna, best of rivers, has both banks covered with gems. In Vraja, Govardhana mountain is made of jewels, and the Yamuna, best of rivers, has both banks covered with gems. Just as various forms are drawn on slate, so various objects are depicted in this scriptural evidence. Just as various forms are drawn on slate, so various objects are depicted in this poetic work with scriptural evidence. The planet being described is called Goloka because it is the abode of cows and cowards. It is called Shweta Dvipa because it manifests in a pure form which cannot be equal by anything else. Its supreme position is accepted by persons with knowledge. That supreme Goloka is the supreme Shweta Dvipa. What has been said is true. In Vraja, there are many gopis. This is indicated by the plural form Shriya in the Brahma Samhita verse. Vraja is not like Vaikunta, where there is only one Lakshmi in each planet. Shriya means the gopis. Using the great mantra for attracting Krishna, the essence of the meaning of the great statements of the Vedas mentioned in Gautamiya Tantra, the sages teach chanting the name of Krishna, who is dear to the coward women. Using the great mantra for attracting Krishna, the essence, the meaning of the great statements of the Vedas mentioned in Gautamiya Tantra, the sages teach chanting the name of Krishna, who is dear to the coward women. Use mantra for attracting Krishna. Using the great mantra for attracting Krishna, the essence of the meaning of the great statements of the Vedas mentioned in Gautamiya Tantra, the sages teach chanting the name of Krishna, who is dear to the coward women. We should not depend only upon the conventional meaning of Shri in explaining that it means Gopi, but depend on the conventions of meditation as well. Shukadeva speaks of the normal Lakshmi in the verse beginning Nayam Shriyo Anga, SB 10.47.60. However, Brahma and Brahma Samhita in saying Lakshmi Sahasra indicates special Lakshmi. Like the word Kuru also indicates the Pandavas, a portion of the Kurus. Sometimes the word Shri indicates Lakshmi and sometimes the Gopis. Radha is supreme among the Gopis. This is proved in the Matsya Purana as well as the Padma Skanda and Adi Varaha Puranas. How can it not be true since it's written in the Gautamiya Tantra which mentions the names of Govinda and Vrindavana? We should not depend only upon the conventional meaning of Shri in explaining that it means Gopi, but depend on the conventions of meditation as well. Shukadeva speaks of the normal Lakshmi in the verse beginning Nayam Shriyo Anga, SB 10.47.60. However, Brahma and Brahma Samhita in saying Lakshmi Sahasra indicates special Lakshmi. Like the word Kuru also indicates the Pandavas, a portion of the Kurus. Sometimes the word Shri indicates Lakshmi and sometimes the Gopis. Radha is supreme among the Gopis. This is proved in Matsya Purana as well as the Padma Skanda and Adi Varaha Puranas. This is proved in the Matsya Purana as well as the Padma Skanda and Adi Varaha Puranas. How can it not be true since it's written in the Gautamiya Tantra which mentions the names of Govinda and Vrindavana? The main Lakshmi remains amidst all the women situated in all directions. If Radha is the chief among the Gopis, what other woman can compare to her? There is one lover of all the women described. His place is Gokula and his name is Govinda. May the supreme person among all great men who are called enjoyers of women enjoy these women one by one. Krishna's role of an Upapati, consort of women married to other men by the power of Maya when he comes as Avatara, is destroyed in the end since it is unreal. This is proved by the words Parama Purusha and Shri. I will elaborate on this with specific proofs later in the work. Balarama may also be inferred to be similar. There are unlimited trees in Braja. The desired trees are respected not because of giving ordinary wealth, but because of giving whatever is described. Among the trees, the desired trees are special because of outstanding qualities. Among the trees, the desired trees are special because of outstanding qualities. Moreover, the whole land of Braja, composed of elements for seeing and hearing, and with spotless powers similar to a mirror, acts like Chintamani, fulfilling all desires of the gopis. The land of Vraja has inconceivable glories which are more pleasing than anything else and is composed of great Chintamani gems extending to the houses and other objects. What more can be said? All the many plants that there reveal the beauty of the land by their presence. In Braja, the various mountains, animals, and birds create astonishment simply by hearing about and seeing their species and forms. In Braja, the various mountains, animals, and birds create astonishment simply by hearing about and seeing their species and forms. In Braja, the various mountains, animals, and create astonishment simply by hearing about and seeing their species and forms. Moreover, the water is like nectar. What then of real nectar? The speech, which is song, is a sweet beverage for the ears. How much sweeter then are their songs? Their walking is the height of artful dancing. How much more must their dancing be respected? No one is as fortunate as Krishna's flute, which reveals pastimes of pleasure, sports as his assistant, and acts as a dear friend. The place is the supreme manifestation, Jyoti, made of knowledge and bliss alone. It manifests as a particular object made of bliss and knowledge, since the Shakti is non-different from the Lord's Swarupa. That light reveals particular objects like flowers. The place is the supreme manifestation made of knowledge and bliss alone. It manifests as a particular object made of bliss and knowledge, since the Shakti is non-different from the Lord's Swarupa. That light reveals particular objects for producing human-like pastimes indicated by the word Gokula. This allows for the experience of bliss in relation to those objects. However, those objects do not partake of the disgusting nature of material objects, which transform into their opposite. The nature of objects in Vaikuntha is described in Ahaya Shirsha Pancharatra in the section defining the 5 elements. Gandha Rupam, Swada Rupam, Dravyam, Pushpadikam Chayat, Rasavad Bhautikam, Dravyam, Atra Syad Rasa Rupakam, Yam Shanam, Abhavat Char Rasa Rupam, Bhavechatat, Tvag Bijam, Chaiva Yam Sham, Kathina Sham Chayat Bhavet, Tat Sarvam Bhautikam Viddinahi Bhuta Mayam Hitat. The pleasurable nature of material objects like flowers with fragrance and taste exist in the spiritual world as the very essence of pleasure. Because the objects are devoid of any inferior qualities belonging to material objects, they are the very form of pleasure. Because the objects are devoid of any is belonging to material objects, they are the very form of pleasure. Know that the faulty portions of because the objects are devoid of any inferior qualities belonging to material objects, they are the very form of pleasure. Know that the faulty portion of a fruit like skin, seed, and tough sections exist in material objects. Nothing in the spiritual world is made of material elements. It is said, Prapancham Nishprapanchopi Vidambhayasi Bhutale Prapanna Janatananda Sandhoham Pratitum Prabho. My dear Master, although you have nothing to do with material existence, you come to this earth and imitate material life just to expand the varieties of ecstatic enjoyment for your surrendered devotees. SB 10.14.37. According to the words of Brahma, when the Lord enacts pastimes which imitate material actions, and the Lord and his devotees become absorbed in those pastimes on earth should not be considered to be the eternal forms. According to the words of Brahma, when the Lord enacts pastimes which imitate material actions, his devotees become absorbed in those pastimes on earth should not be considered to be the eternal forms. The Lord and his devotees who are absorbed in those earthly pastimes enter into the eternal pastimes. His devotees who were absorbed in those earthly pastimes enter into the eternal pastimes. One should understand that by his will, the Leela Shakti manifests eternal objects which are similar to the material forms. From the rivers flowing from the mountainous udders of the joyful Surabhi cows, whose fragrant milk is milked by the sweetness of repeated soft sounds from Krishna's flute. Of milk spreads out like a moat in all directions. All of the cows are Kamadhenus, and thus the flow of milk when the cows are milked becomes most abundant. The wise understand that these rivers are actually various rasas. Moreover, in Vraja, just as Krishna is eternally Kaishora age, his parents, brother, friends, and others all have permanent ages such as middle age, youth, and at the end of Kaishora age. They never accept a different age. Moreover, sitting in the middle of Goloka, he takes the place which is a great, pure, eternal jewel lotus manifesting many thousands of petals in terms of Gokula as his very self. I'm Vraja, a group of dwellings for the cows and cowards. Moreover, sitting in the middle of Goloka, he takes the place which is a great, pure, eternal jewel lotus manifesting many thousands of petals in terms of Gokula as his very self. I'm Vraja, a group of dwellings for the cows and cowards. According to logic, Gokula refers to the abode of Krishna. This is because of the rule, Urdhir Yogam Apaharati. Conventional usage prevails over etymological meaning. Thus, the word Jal refer to just any object born in the water, but to a lotus by convention. The meaning of Gokula is revealed by conventional meaning. Concerning this, Shukadeva has said, Bhagavan Gokuleshwara. Concerning this, Shukadeva has said, Bhagavan Gokuleshwara. Krishna is the Lord of Gokula. The word Ishvara comes from the root Ish and means a continuous action of ruling over. Shukadeva has said, Bhagavan Gokuleshwara. Krishna is the Lord of Gokula. The word Ishvara comes from the root Ish and means a continuous action of ruling over. The Shruti says, Gokulam Vana Vaikuntham. Gokula is Vaikunta with forests, Krishna Upanishad. Occupying the center of the pericarp of the lotus belonging to the great Lord Krishna, who accepts himself as the son of the king of Vraja, the land of Vraja manifests a huge jewel palace as previously described. Since that place is a portion of Ananta, it clearly reveals unlimited forms. The compassionate coward men with their relatives and Brahmanas live in that place, surrounded by walls like filaments of a lotus. By the strength of the word Gokula, the following is suitable. Daya means a portion or fortune. Daya means a portion or fortune. This becomes Dayavanta, meaning persons who have an inheritance of fortune. Daya means a portion or fortune. This becomes Dayavanta, meaning persons who have an inheritance of fortune. The fortune of the coward men is Krishna. Thus they are called Dayavanta. The fortune of the coward men is Krishna. Thus they are called Dayavanta. Or the meaning can be those whose share is Krishna, is in Krishna. This is a Bahuvrihi compound. Just as rice is the cause of sustaining life, for Krishna is the cause of sustaining the lives of the cowards. So love for Krishna is the cause of sustaining the lives of the cowards. Thus this meaning is also suitable. Shukadeva has described the gopis as being of the same coward birth. Shukadeva has described the gopis as being of the same coward birth. Evam kukudminam hatva stuya mana dvijatibi Vivesha Goshtam Sabalo Gopinam Nayanotsava. Having thus killed the bull demon Arishta, he who is a festival for the gopis' eyes entered the covered village with Balarama. SB 10.36.15. The petals of the lotus of Gokula become pastime forests with portions of the gopis who are forms of Lakshmi. Krishna plays unseen. The petals of the lotus of Gokula become pastime forests with portions of the gopis who are form of Krishna plays unseen by others in houses made of Chintamani surrounded by thousands of desired trees. Krishna plays unseen by others in houses made of Chintamani surrounded by thousands of desired trees. Krishna previously gave Radha control of Vraja. This is stated in the Puranas. I conclude that Krishna is controlled by Radha's qualities, though this will be a repetitive statement in this work. Previously explaining the meaning of the words Parama Purusha and Shri, it was shown that Upapati love was eliminated. Again, this is stated, if Krishna did not become the husband of all the women, then his ruling over the petals of the lotus of Raja could not be perfectly accomplished. The slightly closed lotus of Gokula has petals raised at the edges, surrounded with unsurpassable high channels made of jewels. Within those petals are roads leading to the center of the lotus. Where the stamens of the lotus are situated. At the foremost edges of the forest is the center. In the center are many pasturing grounds for the cows as well as the houses for the cowards and Nanda Maharaja. Krishna cares for the cows amidst sheds made of Chintamani surrounded by billions of desire trees after entering along with groups of his coward friends of the same age on seeing the time for milking the cows has come. Krishna cares for the cows amidst sheds made of Chintamani surrounded by billions of desired trees after entering along with groups of his coward friends of the same age on seeing the time for milking the cows has come. There is a square area around the lotus of abodes of cowards close to Krishna. They call this place Vrindavana. Beyond this, like a lamp illuminating the interior, is a great, beautiful island. This whole area is called Shweta Dvipa or Goloka. The outer portion of this is unbroken like an ocean. The inhabitants appear like handsome persons of the material world, devoid of lamentation, but are equivalent to the inhabitants of Vaikunta. The learned say that the forests situated on the lotus petals are called Keli Vrindavana. It is said in the Pancharatra that in Greater Vrindavana there are forests called Keli Vrindavana. That in Greater Vrindavana there are forests called Keli Vrindavana. Near the square area, there are swarms of bees around the mountains in the south and west. They drink the streams of honey flowing everywhere, falling from the lotus. In that place, there is Govadhana, a huge peak made of precious jewels, a great storehouse of peaks. It produces great pride and bliss in Krishna. a great storers of peaks. It produces great pride and bliss in Krishna. Govardhana offers a seat in the form of beautiful slabs of jewels. Offers welcome in the form of cries of various birds. Govardhana offers foot wash in the form of crooked waterfalls filled with shamaka, durva, lotuses, and Vishnu Kranta. Govardhana offers argya in the form of rice, darbha, and various sprouts pushed on by the hooves of wandering deer. Darbha and various sprouts pushed down by the hooves of wandering deer. Govardhana offers achamana in the form of water mixed with nutmeg, clove, and kakola from the bank of the river. Govardhana offers madhuparka in the form of fresh milk from cows which have just given birth, along with yogurt and ghee, and with honey taken from trees. Govardhana offers bath water in the form of water from its peaks falling in heavy streams, imitating pleasing bathing service. Govardhana offers cloth in the form of special bark from golden trees similar to cloth, pleasant on contact with the body. Govardhana offers excellent cosmetics in the form of sandalwood, gairika, and haritala powder, ground to fine powder by 100 stones, as well as natural perfumes with excellent scent. Govardhana offers the most pleasing flowers in the form of blossoming garlands of jasmine creepers. Govardhana offers incense surpassing all other types in the form of smoke from clouds, aguru, and devadaru wood broken by cows' hooves. Govardhana offers lamps which reveal all treasure through their light from a host of gems which shine brightly even in the daylight. Govardhana offers splendid ornaments in the form of objects made from beautiful gunja berries, peacock feathers, and cluster of flowers. Govardhana offers splendid ornaments in the form of objects made from beautiful gunja berries, peacock feathers, and cluster of flowers. Govardhana offers food giving full pleasure in the form of all sorts of desirable fruits and roots. Govardhana offers achamana again in the form of cool water steeped with flowers, and offers mouth freshener in the form of pure, incomparable, fragrant tulsi leaves. Govardhana offers aratika by lamps made of a wealth of blossoming champa flowers moving in the breeze. Govardhana offers a most splendid umbrella in the form of groups of branches of bakula covered with thick bud clusters. Govardhana offers a fan giving joy to the devotees in the form of a huge shala tree whose branches quiver in the Malaya mountain breeze. Govardhana offers dancing filled with the various cries of the peacocks who know the art of crying out. Govardhana offers a most excellent bed in the form of strewn flowers accompanied by many women attracted by the sounds of the wild bamboos, mistaking the sound for Krishna's flute. Govardhana offers songs for sleeping in the form of an assembly of the soft cooing of the cuckoos. Offering the items in this way, Govardhana shows that he is the best of the Lord's servants among all the devotees. In association of Govardhana and Manasa Ganga, whose mind is liquid with prema for Krishna, who is permanently situated in all types of joy, that is the origin of her name. The wise describe and praise her as follows. In association of Govardhana is Manasa Ganga, whose mind is liquid with prema for Krishna, who is permanently situated with all types of joy. That is the origin of her name. The wise describe and praise her as follows. When Krishna's portion Vamana touched his foot to Ganga, she became purified of all sin and descended on Shiva's head. Manasa Ganga is the best of all because she associates with Krishna, who eternally sports with the people of Vraja, who are more exalted than Brahma, Shiva, and Lakshmi. When Krishna's portion Vamana touched his foot to Ganga, she became purified of all sin and descended on Shiva's head. Manasa Ganga is the best of because she associates with Krishna, who eternally sports with people of Vraja, who are more exalted than Brahma, Shiva, and Lakshmi. In Vraja, not far from the flat land of Vraja, full of inconceivable bliss, to the northeast lies the Yamuna River or Kalindi. She is described as follows. Sometimes Yamuna flows with the color of liquid sapphires. Sometimes she stops flowing and becomes the color of emerald fields. When the flute sounds, she makes no noise. Her water and place spread auspiciousness for serving the Lord. With lotuses for eyes, she sees the Lord, and with her whirlpools for ears, she hears the Lord. With fish as a nose, she smells the Lord, and with waves for arms, she embraces the Lord. With Chakravaka birds as a voice, she speaks to the Lord. Does she who serves Krishna by water act constantly as a Devata? The wise describe the lakes of Vraja. Look, residing in the forest without moving, the lakes nourish all things. Determining this, the best of lakes increase the rivers by the flowing waters. Part of the Yamuna's bank is filled with lotuses. Part of the Yamuna's bank is filled with lotuses and water lilies, and part is filled with forests of various flowers. It is sweet with the peacock's cries, the bees buzzing, the cuckoos wobbling, anointed with the cosmetics of the gopis and marked with symptoms of the Rasalila. The land gives pleasure to the nose, eyes, and ears. Bandira banyan tree does not rise up to the sun. Instead, by spreading out its branches, the cowherd boys can frequently cross over the river. Part of Bandira banyan tree serves as cave or a house. Its broad branches serve as a comfortable bed, and its creepers serve as a swing. What pastimes of Krishna does the tree not serve? To the north of Bandira banyan tree, the place called Ramaghatta emanates all types of happiness. In that place, Balarama, revealing pleasure, enjoys pastimes and becomes blissful. The beautiful, praiseworthy, protecting deities of Goloka, as the protectors of directions, reside in the sky in airplanes. The four deities headed by Vasudeva act as protectors of the directions by accepting leadership of the armies. What significance do the four human goals of Artha, Dharma, Kama, and Moksha have here? How can the supreme place called Goloka be compared to ordinary objects? The Devatas filled it an ocean of nectar. The Devatas called it an ocean of nectar. The poets call it fame personified. The Vishwakarma deities call it an amazing construction. The Jnanis call it Brahma, containing all types of bliss. The Jnanis call it Brahman, containing all types of bliss. The devotees of the Lord call it the personification of prema. In this way, Goloka is viewed in many ways by many people. The devotees of the Lord call it the personification of prema. In this way, Goloka is viewed in many ways by many people. Hare Krishna. This is a wonderful description with so much of rasa. I really enjoyed reading this for you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share this with you. We would like to continue this tomorrow. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.